If you know how to make your dream come true, it's not a dream, it's a goal. And decisiveness is better than doing the right thing. You can get stuck in the loop of trying to do the right thing that you never get anything done. Hi, Josie. Welcome back.
Hi, how are you? I am wonderful. Thank you for having me.
So we've got a book, but this is not really about the book. This is about sharing some insights with you and hope that you connect with them because they connect with me personally. So yeah, we're looking forward to having an incredible session on some of the deepest insights that Josie has. So yeah, shall we dig in? Um, so one says, feed your consciousness.
That's right.
That's the first.
Um,
Yeah.
so in I think oftentimes in we act without really thinking. It's just kind of how maybe it's survival mode tactic that many of us feel we're under the gun with work, family. So you just have to be very reactive and responsive when things are happening. And if we were to take time out to really sit with ourselves and think and get into our own heads, into our own consciousness, feeding it is just having those daily conversations with yourself. It's reading, it's taking time for yourself, it's allowing you to understand when you sit in silence how you can work through problems. We don't do enough of that. Instead, we're quick to react. So when I wrote that, it was merely just that, feed your consciousness. I mean, it's going to open you up to so much greater when you do allow yourself just to be with yourself in your head.
That's incredibly good. When can you give an example of when you fed your consciousness and it was incredibly helpful for you?
For me, I tend to read emails and want to respond quickly. And if there's a problem, say there's a problem that arose recently, um, and I normally would want to swoop in and handle it for one of my teammates. So one of my employees had a problem, and instead of allowing that be a teachable moment for that person, I was quick to want to swoop in and solve it. And so I missed the opportunity to allow them to empower themselves. So when another opportunity presented itself, I sat with my words. Instead of typing a quick email, instead of going in and saving that person, I decided to use that as a teachable moment to say, okay, you've provided the problem. Now, what do you think is the solution?
Mm.
No sense of giving more problems upon problems. Let's start to train our brain to see how we can solve things ourselves. So I asked for her to feed her consciousness, to sit and think about it. And meanwhile, I was doing the same. I was sitting and thinking about it, and she came up with a phenomenal solution, one that I didn't even think of. So if I allow people an opportunity to grow, I'm also growing in the process of letting people do for themselves. Oftentimes I'm a mother, and fathers and grandparents and people have that nurturing disposition, right? We all have a nurturing disposition, but we want to save people, and we're not here to save everybody. Sometimes you have to work on just saving yourself. And so that's where that feeding your consciousness, sit on it. Think about it. Do you need to react to it so quickly? And me sitting on it allowed her to react and come up with her own solution. So it was a teachable moment for both of us.
That is good. More like you've got to be present every time and be proactive rather than be reactive. And one of the cool takeaways from that is people like to solve problems themselves. And most people, that's how you get fulfilled. That's where you get fulfillment from. Is like you got this problem and you solved it. You will feel better than if you were even given money because you'll be proud of yourself for having gone through what it took to get that done. And so one of the greatest feelings of achievement is not necessarily the achievement in itself, is who we become in the process of that pursuit,
Mhm.
and the things that we had to go through, learn, overcome, and become to reach that point of achievement. So that's a really great thing. Okay, I've got another one. It says,
Okay.
you need a dream. What do you mean by you need a dream?
Oh man, we have to have goals. We have to dream big. We have to think larger than life. So often, I was I could go I could go day by day just working on the routine of what the routine was expected of me. But unless I took time to dream big, to achieve
Mm,
more, to want more for myself, I was going to be okay settling with what I had. And most people are, you know, most people are fine with just settling. This is what life gave them. No, life gave you the ability to reason. Life gave you the ability to have consciousness and think. So use it, dream. Maybe you're in a small apartment and you want to own a house. Dream big. Think of that house. Let it
mm.
drive you to your success. So you have to have a dream. You have to want more for yourself.
Okay, so I'm curious here. Is a dream like a goal or just a fantasy? There's like fantasies. I want to become this. It's just fantasies, but there are goals like, well, this is what
Right.
I'm working towards, and I'm doing one, two, three, four, five to be able to get there. Is that? I mean, just some clarity here.
But why limit it? That's what a dream is. No limits. Why limit it? I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a multimillionaire. Okay? Right now, can I see it? I can't see it unless I have a vision of it, right? I want to own a Range Rover, right? I want to be able to work all around the world and travel. Yeah, there's you can set goals, right? That's the tangible of it, but the dream in itself is what keeps me going. I want to fly to the moon. You know,
Mm,
I want to be in space. I want to be of this universe. I want to beyond my little place in the United States. It's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger. I want to build a legacy. So 2, 3 generations after I'm gone, somebody remembers the legacy and keeps the mission and the cause going. The dream is so much bigger than me. So when people talk about being goal oriented, yeah, and then you reach your goal, and then what? No, the dream's bigger than the goal. But the dream is what is out there that you envision, that you work towards, and all the elements, all the hard work, all the things that you put together someday might align for you. But if it doesn't, that cause, that dream moved you from one place to another destination you never thought would enhance your life. If you never achieve
mm,
that dream, man, it was the process. Did you realize that it was you transforming and evolving? Maybe you do reach that dream. What a
mm.
beautiful thing. But the dream is way bigger than the goal.
Wow, that's great. I once heard someone say, and we called him PK. He said, "If you know how to make your dream come true, it's not a dream;
Right?
it's a goal."
Spot
I've been
on.
trying to wrap my head
Yes.
around that for a while. A goal has to be measurable, quantifiable, all the smart stuff, all the ACT stuff. It's like, yeah, but a dream is so big that you need to keep working, not knowing if what you're going to do is going to make the dream come true, but it's just something so huge. Um, yeah, you need a dream.
You know, we talk about life purpose, right? We talk about having a purpose
Mm,
and finding that purpose, right? Some people find the purpose that they work towards. Some people learn that their purpose has changed a different trajectory or direction, right? But that's what that dream is. Like, whether you achieve it or not, wow, to actually be able to fantasize and just like visualize something so grand and know that you're working constantly to
Mm,
improve yourself or to get there, it's such a beautiful feeling. If you I'm told I'm crazy all the time. They probably don't think I'm crazy. I'm very goal oriented, but no, sometimes I think a little crazy. You got to be out there. You got to use your imagination. You have to be willing to take risks. That's what life's
mm,
about. Some are more calculated than others, but
yeah,
it's that I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to work towards it. And that's fulfilling. That's purpose.
that is good. And I think one of the cool stuff, or one of the great lessons that I'm picking here, is you can have a dream and still have a goal. So you can go in pursuit of your goal, have definite steps to achieving your goals, but your goals do not have to be your dream. And your goals can be a path to your dream, just because you need to be able to look forward to something that's achievable, right? If if this You've got to be able to set steps towards what is next. And if what is next is so big you have no clue where to get started, then you'll be crippled. But the comforting part is, yeah, you go ahead and have a dream, but have goals. And when you have goals, then break those down to chunks that you can act on. What I learned from reading about goals this week is, you want the goals that you've set, or the next step that you're taking to achieve your goal, to be difficult, but you don't want it to be too difficult that you won't be able to achieve it, because then that puts you in a state of negative emotion and you will just be worse off doing that. So you want it to be hard, but you don't want it to be too hard for you. But even in pursuit of your goals, just dream away. I think that's a great thing. I enjoy dreaming, actually. I dream a lot. I used to think it's a bad thing, just because it's like this lofty ideas and amazing stuff that you want to do to change the world, and you don't even know if what you're doing is leading you on a path there. You just It's just great. I think dreams are a gift. Conscious one and unconscious ones are a gift, and we should dream. That's cool. The next one is a bit like it. So it says, "You hurt your feelings when you don't move."
Absolutely. How many times I would think in the traditional workforce, right, about a position, a job, right? We'll use that as an example. We self sabotage. We don't. We see the opportunity, but unless we take it, we seize the moment, right? Unless we put forth action to acquire that opportunity, right? We're hurting our own feelings because so often that job, that promotion, that whatever it may be, people are afraid to go for it because they don't think that they're qualified enough. They don't go for it because they think that other candidates may be in better position than they are. So
Mm,
the action in itself is, if you see the opportunity, seize the moment, right? As simple as you
yeah.
meet somebody, give them that business card, and then when you
Mm,
get the business card, follow through, call that person, set up an
yeah.
appointment. When that
Mm.
appointment comes, make the appointment. These are little things to actually secure that opportunity. But oftentimes we feel hurt that we didn't get it. Well, we didn't do anything to achieve that. You have to put forth the action.
Um, there's this beautiful quote, and I don't know if I can quote it right. It says, "Don't get angry about the results you didn't get from the work that you didn't do." I think it's a McManson quote.
Mm.
And yeah, it's probably, "Don't get upset about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do." It's like, well, you didn't do the work. What did you expect?
What did
Um,
you expect? Yeah.
yeah, and that's just
I've been around a lot of sports people. And I remember in basketball, it was so funny because an analogy that they often use is like, okay, you want to make that 3 point shot, but um, you know, 100 shots not taken is
Mm.
going to equate as no baskets made, right? So it doesn't matter how
Wow.
many shots, how many times, how many attempts, you just have to go after it and keep doing it because you might. And it's that might, when you achieve it, feels so good, but you can't get upset that you didn't make a basket if you didn't even put forth the work behind it to even try. And so,
Yeah.
once again, I mean, you can't get mad about something that you can't do when you haven't even tried it.
Hmm. So there's an interesting phenomenon as well. We often underestimate the work that it takes to get something done.
Right,
Because we think about it, and it's sweet to think in planning, right? It's like, oh, I'll do this and this will happen, then I'll do this and this will happen, I'll do this and this will happen, then damn, I'm done.
right,
But then you do this and that doesn't happen, and you have to walk your way back or forward or do something that you did not plan to do. And it's at that point that a lot of people get tired. It's like, well, this is not exactly going as planned. Yeah, nothing really goes as planned. Hardly anything goes as planned. So,
right.
yeah, you've got to do the work. So you've got to move, move, move. Um, so this is an interesting one. Just because I was learning about it a little bit earlier today, and it says reflect. You know what you need. Reflect. You know what you need.
Empower, you know, I always tell people you are your own best expert.
Mm,
Nobody's going to know you better than you. Your wants,
okay.
your needs, how to solve your problems. You
Mm,
know, all of the solutions are there because you're presented with everything.
yeah.
So if you're your own best expert, I can totally see how reflecting and thinking,
Mm,
right,
yeah.
would get you to achieve that.
And I
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest things is the decision. So it's not like you don't know what to do, you're just scared to decide. And
Mm,
I read a tweet today, and the person said, and this person had tweeted, you don't need mentors. You just need to dig deep into yourself enough. And everyone goes at him, hey, shut up. What do you mean you don't need mentors? Mentors are this, mentors are that. It's like blah, blah, blah. And it's carnage on Twitter. But as always, anyway. But what he was trying to say, and is that the mentors do not necessarily tell you what to do. They just bring out the best in you, right?
right.
It's already in you. They make the options glaring somewhat. They share their experiences with you. They guide you, but at the end of the day, you still have to make the decision. The decision is always yours. If a mentor makes a decision for you, that's not a mentor.
No.
It still rests with you. And most times it's like a therapist, right? So you go to a therapist and the therapist is asking you questions and you're answering all the questions. They don't have the answers. They're just helping you dig out what's already inside you and telling you how to think about them in a new way, so to say. And so that makes sense to say that reflect, you sort of already know what you need. And if what you're struggling with is indecision, I can tell you for free that indecision is already a bad decision because
Mm,
decisive, yeah, okay, I'll back up a bit. Decisiveness is better than doing the right thing because you can get stuck in the loop of trying to do the right thing that you never get anything done.
mm.
So that's a really, really huge one for me. I might just frame that and
Oh,
put on my
yeah.
walls, like reflect, you know what you need. So that's really
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so This one is so I sense some emotions behind this one. So it says, when your passion becomes silenced, it's time to move on.
Oh man, yeah. It's the thing of everything has its season. We talk about seasons in relationships and
Mm,
friendships, but in just in general in life, right? Everything has its
mm,
season, and it doesn't mean that you have to hang it up forever. It just means it's time to move on now. And
yeah.
maybe for me, in my personal experience with that, I had dedicated myself to a particular position and gave all my heart and my everything to it,
Mm,
everything I could to it. And it just was not, it wasn't the right timing,
mm,
perhaps. I often find that I am very forward thinking and I'm very big picture. And when I try to cultivate
mm,
an environment or a space, sometimes I'm just, how many times have we heard about people being so beyond their
mm,
present time? Whether that's an artist or that's an innovator, or, we just, the world's not ready sometimes for you. So in
yeah.
that place, it was sombering knowing that I was not going to achieve what I needed to achieve with that particular group. So I just had to
Mm,
stop, leave it alone, and move on from it. Because once again, as you had said, when it comes to
yeah.
decision making and doing the right thing, if you're stuck in this loop and you're not moving forward, then that's slowing your progression down. Sometimes you have to just parking lot it and say, I'm gonna plop it there in a parking lot and I'm gonna move on from it. Maybe if the timing comes back to it, I can come back to it, but I'm not gonna stop my progression in life.
There's this interesting story about Lamborghini and Ferrari, and I don't know if I
Let me
can.
hear it.
I don't know if I'll tell it well, but I'll give it a shot. So, Lamborghini was so Ferrari was the first guy to make actual sport cars. So he did that in 1939, and Lamborghini, the guy Lamborghini would, he saw some defaults, like some faults in the cars, and he said, "These cars make too much noise. They do this and that." It's like, you can make these cars better. So he would go to Ferrari, to Enzo Ferrari, and tell him about those things. He'd say, "Hey, here's what I think can be better about this car. Take this out, do this, and right, the car will be all right." And Ferrari was always like, "Nah, what do you know about cars? It's just, it's just dismissive, right?" And he did that consistently for a while. And at some point, he was like, "You know what? Screw this shit. I'm going to
Right.
make my own cars." And so he goes ahead to produce or start making Lamborghini, and it became a very, very tough competition between both people there. And that's just one story. It's like there's a lot of times where you have amazing ideas and you try to communicate it to the people that are somewhat in the best position to execute them, but that doesn't work, and you feel like, well, it's my responsibility to move this forward, and this is how I think it's best to move it forward. And so you give ideas, you do a lot of stuff, and they say, no, just do the thing that we ask you to do. Especially in big
Right.
organizations, just do the thing we asked you to do. And it's like, I think it was Seth Godin that says this: you're not paid to do the, so he says it this way, I can't remember, I'm going to try to paraphrase. So you can get paid to do the thing they ask you to do, or you can get paid to think. Oftentimes, bureaucracy does not like people that think. They just want you to do the thing that they ask you to do. So yeah, that quote really makes sense.
Had you ever heard of Kodak and the digital camera and how the digital camera came about?
No, I haven't heard about
You have.
Kodak. No, I haven't.
So Kodak, um, at the height of its game in the 70s, and everyone there, it was where you took photographs, and it had processed film. People would take their photos and then ship in their film before things were ever digital. And so the crazy thing is it was an actual engineer of Kodak who said, "Hey, I think we could be more efficient. We could save on chemicals, save on paper, save on all of our resources. Look at sustainability if we made cameras into digital options." And
mm,
Kodak at the time had said no. No, why would we want to do that? Because there's so much money invested in people developing their film, buying more cartridges, and then having, paper shipped, that they said no. He went off on his own, made his own prototype, and started the first digital camera. And here we are today, right? And
mm,
so now Kodak is barely starting to reemerge again when they had the opportunity to look at how technology and new technology then could advance the company, could bring in multi-million dollars. But sometimes people are so stuck on the ways that are and how they currently exist and function that they're not ready to adapt to the times that are changing. And I think that as we work, we're working on a book that is very paper, right? People use planners. I think that there's room for
yeah.
both. If you have somebody who is willing to provide opportunities to say, this works in tandem, this works hand in hand together, then not everybody learns the same way. Not everyone is going to be able to receive the same information and have it absorbed. But let's look at our opportunities to work in tandem, because there's opportunities for growth. And I feel like, it's creative players and innovators who tend to are willing to be open. It's openness. You
Mm,
know, how many people do we know? Do you know that don't have an email, are afraid of a computer, to go behind a computer? I mean, we grow up, it becomes a generational thing. It's that generational mindset and a growth mindset. And then you look at people who were innovators. Look at Steve Jobs and how he was willing to take the times and adapt new technology to it time and time again. Now, we all are flawed. People think that Elon Musk is crazy and out of his mind. It's good to be a little crazy. It's good to have lofty dreams. It's good to try things, and it's not a failure. It's just a way to go back and try it again. 100 shots, remember? So
yeah.
if I can go back and shoot a basket 100 times and know I made one, man, I made that one. If it just works that one time. And so when we're more open to that, we're more willing to receive new ideas. We position ourselves, to have a growth mindset and to be a thought leader among many. And we have to do a lot of teaching and hand holding. I feel a lot of people want their hands held.
Mm,
I cannot and I will not hold your hand. I will teach you, because I cannot hold everyone's hand. Then everyone wants me to hold their hand, and I am only but one person. But I will teach you. And if you teach someone else, we progress as a people.
mm,
So when you were talking about that opportunity for Ferrari and to listen, maybe some people do like that revved up, but it was also an opportunity to create another model
yeah.
to do something that others would love,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, no, it was a great example. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.